What's the best way to budget for gold? Fun fact, guys, within the past year, I spent enough on stupid stuff. Not stuff that matters like the bills and stuff, but within the past year, I spent enough on stupid stuff to actually buy 5 ounces of gold. Think about that for a little bit. But guys, let's start now. Thank you guys so much for watching another video from Urban Lifestyle. This is a community over 8,000 strong. If you guys want to help support that community, you guys can help out by leaving a subscribe, leaving a comment, leaving a thumbs up. Find me on my social media platform, Urban Lifestyle 1989. And don't forget to hit that notification icon so you guys get future notifications of my future videos. And if you guys do decide to join this community, I do want to say thank you in advance. So, question of the day. What do you guys find the best way to budget for gold? Comment down below. Let me and this community know. Now, I made a video about how to budget for silver. Now, see, the thing about silver is it's easy to buy silver. It's very easy to buy silver. So the only reason you want to budget for silver is so you don't go over budget and just buy so much of silver. But when it comes down to gold, it's very more difficult. All right, being that gold is very much more expensive. If you look at the gold to silver ratio, it's about 81 to 1 ounce of gold, which means it takes 81 ounces of silver to actually equate to 1 ounce of gold. So given all the facts, if someone were to came up to you right now and said, hey, you have 1 hour to actually buy 1 ounce of silver or something bad's gonna happen to you, you don't really have to think about it. $16 an ounce. I mean, come on, let's just really think about it. We could just go out to the store right now, to the local coin shop, or even go to an online bullion dealer and be like, hey, you know what, it's easy, I'll buy an ounce of silver. But if the same situation were to happen for an ounce of gold and somebody came up to you, hey, you have 1 hour to actually buy 1 ounce of gold or something's gonna happen to you, now you're in a conundrum because you're like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do that? Am I not gonna pay rent? Am I not gonna pay this? Am I not gonna pay that? So when it comes to budgeting for gold, it's much more easier to be like, you know what, silver is much more cheaper. Let me just go into the silver. And we back that reason with a whole bunch of facts, which is nothing wrong with the facts. I mean, the facts are the facts. Silver is more volatile. There is probably more of a return with silver than gold. Now, that does divide the community up, where it's like we have Team Silver right here that's like, hey, listen, you know, just focus on silver, just buy silver, don't really focus on gold. Gold is nothing. And then we have Team Gold over there like, man, to hell with silver. Silver is nothing. And then we also have the people that's stuck in the middle that wants to buy gold, but probably just can't afford gold. But there's some people who can afford gold and probably just, you know, buy a little bit of silver. Now, this video is not for the people that can actually afford gold. This video is for the people that just finds it a bit difficult to buy gold. Now, the reason I say that finds it a bit difficult, because if you put your mind to something hard enough, you can accomplish anything you want. And I just want to break it down to the simplest term for you guys so you guys can just understand, hey, why gold is really not that expensive, even though it is. We all have the mind frame that, hey, silver is very cheap, all right? It's all a mind frame. Now take that same amount of silver and add a little bit more ounce to it. Let's say 100 ounces of silver. If you were to buy 100 ounces of silver right now, then your mind will be like, oh, wait, hold on. That's a little bit of expensive. Now we have to understand how strong and how powerful the mind is. I know I'm taking this a little bit different than normal, but you have to understand how powerful the mind is. Just the other day I was dreaming, and the dream was it just got to a point where like something was digging into my arm. I'm not gonna explain the whole thing, but my arm was hurting. So I'm in the dream, and then the pain just got so unbearable that I had to wake up. And once I wake up, my heart's beating fast. But guess what? My arm was still feeling the aftershock of the pain. It was like the pain was still in my arm. All right, but nothing had happened to my arm, but my arm was feeling like I had the pain there still. And then I just realized something. It was all in my mind, to show you how powerful the mind is. If my mind believes something, then it has to manifest. All right, so put that in the same aspect as far as gold and silver. Now let's put it like this. Why do we see something as expensive? I believe, I can be wrong, but I believe we equate money to the time that we spend putting on the show to actually make that money. Let me explain. All right, so one thing we cannot get back in life, we can always get money. I can get $100 right now, I'll spend it, the next day I get another $100. But what is it that I can't receive back? That time that I spent to make that $100. All right, so in some way, shape, or form, we take money and then we equal it to our time that we spent to make that money, knowing that we can't get our time back. if you're able to make $100 an hour, you look at buying an ounce of gold like, okay, it's just 13 hours of my life to actually afford me 1 ounce of gold. The same way for silver. Oh, it's just 13 hours of my life to actually afford me about 80 plus ounces of silver. But when you go back into it and you're like, okay, listen, I'm only making $20 an hour, man, it's about a whole week of my life to actually afford me an ounce of gold. So I have to take that week and put another week to actually pay my other bills and put a whole nother week to pay like my rent or other stuff like that. So we set up our mind to understand. Now, of course, it is reality. Not most of us have the luxury to actually make $100 an hour. But hey, I believe it's all a mindset. 4 years ago, I had no money. I was broke. I was only making $13,000 a year. And then I came up to myself and I was like, you know what? I need to up my income. I need to make at least $100,000 for this year. And then when I did that, I could have just said, you know what? Hey, I'm only worth $13,000 a year. I don't think I'm making any more than that. What happens is I closed my mind. I closed my mind to actually producing more thoughts for me to actually make money. But when I said, you know, I'm worth this much, my mind's like, okay, yeah. I kept repeating that. And now it's like my body, my action has to align with that because my brain can't tell the difference between a truth and a lie. But my body has to, my actions has to accommodate for that thought. And then I start thinking of ways and I'm like, hey, listen, I can do this. Hey, listen, I can do this. Hey, I can start a YouTube channel and I'm making money different other ways outside of my job. All right, but this is not what the video is about. Hopefully you guys understand that little nugget right there. That's so powerful right there if you guys understand it and truly grasp that. But this is not what the video is about. Let's talk about how do you set up a budget for gold, and I want to keep this simple as possible. Now, a good way for you guys to budget for gold is actually going into fractionals. You can buy 1 gram of gold. 1 gram of gold should be with the premiums factored in. That should be at least $51. All right, that's about $7 a day for a whole week. That would afford you at least 1 gram of gold. But if you times that 1 gram to actually equal up to 32, which is an ounce of gold, that would actually come up to $1,632. And I don't believe that an ounce of gold should cost you no more than $1,360. It's a good way if you don't mind the premiums and you just want to have your way with gold and you just want to have gold in your portfolio. That's a good way if you don't mind the premiums. Now you can always bump up the amount of money that you're willing to put into gold and just go into higher fractionals like 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 of an ounce, 1.5 ounce, and you'll be better off because you're paying a little bit less premium. Of course, you'll be paying a little bit more higher premiums because you're doing fractional, but it won't be as much as if you were to go with 1 gram. So the higher you go as far as fractional, the more premiums you will save on. Now, for me, I feel the best way to buy gold is just to buy the ounce. All right, like I told you in the beginning of this video, within the past year, I spent so much money on stupid stuff like apps, buying little games for apps and doing little stuff like that. I spent enough money to actually afford me 5 ounces of gold. Then when I look at my stash, I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't even own 5 ounces of gold, but I own this much coins in this game, I own this much stuff, I have drunk this much coffee, or whatever it may be. Now, from the time I actually started buying gold, I believe the highest I've seen gold was about 1,400. And that's with the premiums. I'm talking about online and stuff like that, or going to the local coin shop. That's the highest I've seen for gold. Now, I had to break that down very simply. $1,460. To some people, to most people, that may be like, wow, that's a lot of money. And it is, don't get me wrong, it is. But I've been buying gold and silver for the past, what? Like I'll say 2 years, but that was the highest I've seen gold or silver. Now I know what you guys may be saying. Wow, you've seen silver at 1,400? Trust me, I've seen silver at 2,000. There's types of silver out there that's worth a lot. That's even above $5,000. I mean, come on. I mean, I wouldn't buy silver for $5,000, like especially when it's just 1 ounce of silver for $5,000. But I would love to have the option. I believe if anybody can do it, I can do it too. Or I can get to a level where I have the option to actually do that. But that's not the point here. So gold, highest I've seen it was 1,400. All right, now let's really look at it. A lot of people say, hey, that's a big number, but here's why I say, hey, it's an accomplishable number. Let's just say, hey, you know what? You're not in a rush. You're not like in a hurry to buy gold. Let's say, hey, you know what? I have a good 10 years. Let's say within the next 10 years, gold remains the same price, about $1,200 right now. Let's just say you decide to save up. You just decide to save up $4 a day, less than a cup of coffee from Starbucks, less than a kid's meal from McDonald's, less than a actual Big Mac combo meal from Burger King, less than that, just $4 a day. I know what you guys may be saying, but I don't work $4 a day. All right, then take one day and you save up for 3, you save up $10, or just to equal up for the days you don't work. But let's just say you save up $4 a day. By the end of that year, here's what you will receive. You would have $1,460 right now. And you can buy, I believe you can buy an ounce of gold for like 1,340, between 40 and 60, 1,360 the highest. I believe you can buy an ounce of gold for that much. So let's say you're just not in a hurry and you just say, hey, you know what? I'll buy a gold at the end of this year. And you're like, all right, I'm just gonna save $4 a day. Some people may be able to save $5. Some people may be able to save $8. But some people may be able to save $10. If you do that, then you're able to buy 2 ounces of gold by the end of this year. Now, I want you guys to understand this. How do you eat an elephant if you were to eat an elephant? Of course, you'll cook it up, make sure it's nice, and make sure it's not raw meat, but you eat up the whole elephant one bite at a time. So let's not look at gold. Let's not look at, oh my gosh, it's 1,300. Let's just look at it as, hey, you know what? It's just $4 a day, and by the end of the year, if prices remain the same and it doesn't do that much of a jump or anything, if prices just remain the same for the next 10 years, you'll have $10,000 plus worth in gold in just 10 years. But in 1 year, you'll be able to buy at least 1 ounce of gold for that whole entire year. Now, the only thing that falls back on is your discipline. Do you have the discipline to do that? Can you go every single day doing something, every single day, not seeing no returns from it, and just get a payoff one day out that whole year? Can you do that? Do you have the discipline to do that? I mean, I can do that. I mean, I'm not saying that anybody else can do that, but honestly, I believe if I can do it, I believe I'm like one of the most hated people on here. I believe I can do it. Then that means anybody else can do it. I'm not the most educated man on here. There's way much more people that sounds way much more smarter than me. And if you believe that you sound way much more smarter than me, then what's your excuse? All right? What's your excuse? You guys can do it. I believe you 100% can do it. I believe my little son right now who doesn't even know about money, I believe he can do it. He'll probably ask me for $4 every day, but I believe he can do it. But just $4 a day. Do you have the discipline for $4 a day? And by the end of the year, you have 1 ounce of gold. I mean, I believe saving up $4 every day is harder than making one video for YouTube every day, sometimes maybe even 2. Every day for the past 2 years, I believe making a video to put on here is way harder than just $4 a day. And that's just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think. That's how I believe how easy it is to actually set up a budget for gold. But I want to know what you guys think. So comment down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe if you're not already, and have a beautiful day.